Russell, how are things in Knoxville these days?
Well, they're not too good this morning. Good to be with you, Barry. Yeah, Tennessee starting 0-2 for the first time since 1988. That loss to Georgia State obviously was shocking. And then the BYU loss on Saturday night, they looked a lot better than they did in the opener. I actually had this BYU game circled back in the spring as one that I thought they had a real shot at losing. But I sure thought they'd be 2-1 heading into to SEC play against Florida. It doesn't get any easier, I can tell you that.
They had the game won. The defensive back, he's got to make them catch the ball in front of you. They get a pass over the top, and then you knew once that thing got to overtime. Sometimes when the negativity you can feel it, like you can just feel it, and you can't stop it, right, Russell? You see it happening, and sometimes bad things just continue to happen to you, and that's what happened to this football team Saturday night.
Yeah, they won basically from a statistical standpoint every facet of the game against BYU. And, you look at that and you think, how in the world did they lose? They never trailed in regulation at all, but you could just feel the heaviness at Neyland Stadium. By the way, 98,000 people there, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, it was a great crowd. People were excited. They were, fired up. And it looked like Tennessee was going to get their first win. I mean, it was done, And then, of course, BYU gets that 64-yard pass, sets up the field goal, and right when it went through those uprights, you just got that feeling that, oh, man, here we go. Here we go again. And they got UT Chattanooga coming in. It'll be a noon game. It's going to be smoking hot. Who knows how many people will be down there. And then they go to Florida.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks thought it'd be 3-0, probably lose to Florida. And now we're sitting here 0-2, and, I mean, the place is just, just going nuts.
Russell, and I don't want to, Dad and I are trying to be pro coaches on this. This is this guy's second game of the second year. People seem to forget. I guess they were 0-8 in the SEC, Butch Jones last year. It wasn't like this guy inherited a juggernaut. The patience of fans now just, it kind of blows you away, to be honest with you. What's fair? You want to see improvement. Certainly you don't want to lose to Georgia State. I'm like you, BYU is not a given. Georgia State has better athletes than people give them credit for. I mean, when you're in Atlanta, you can get a lot of guys transferring back, but Tennessee should win that game. But what's fair to Jeremy Pruitt and these guys up there right now? It's second game, second year. It was not a good situation. He inherited. Several guys turned the job down. What's fair to those guys right now?
I think you made some great points, and here's, in my opinion, what's fair. You're talking about a guy that just coached his 13th game at Tennessee. Now, Alabama played more games last season than what he's even coached in his second season here, and he did, and it wasn't a good situation, or they wouldn't have been hiring a new football coach. So, he's got a good staff. He's got a lot of young players, and a lot of guys just weren't in their positions. I mean, Alabama fans know the guy can coach defense, and they were not in their spots. And during timeouts, Coach Pruitt was halfway out on the field. I mean, in guys' faces, almost coaching them on the field. You couldn't see it on television, but just coaching them in those right positions. They just were not in the spots they needed to be in. And, sometimes it comes down to the fact that, players got to execute and know where they're going. Daniel Batuli, the middle linebacker who's been out for 2 games, he'll, in my opinion, will be a first-round pick at some point. He knows the defense. He knows how to play the defense. At a cornerback, Michael Thompson, he got in trouble, so he's not playing. He knew the defense. He would have been on that corner spot that gave up that long pass. So, I mean, it's you don't have players. Sometimes when you don't have players, you can't do a whole lot. But he's got a great staff. And, I think it's going to take time. It'll be interesting to see when he finally gets his recruiting guys in there, what's going to happen. JT Shroud is that backup quarterback. He's a red shirt. I think we're going to see some of him on Saturday for sure.
We're talking with Russell Biven, who lives up in Knoxville, but Alabama graduate. Russell, I have to ask this. When Jeremy Pruitt was at Georgia. Let's be honest, he didn't leave there on the greatest of terms. He was pretty vocal, even to Mark Richt about, hey, what they didn't have if you want to catch Alabama, and he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. When you come to Alabama, you're not going to treat Nick Saban like that. It isn't going to happen. I've heard people say, you know what, he doesn't know how to treat people. He's a good guy who can be a good coordinator. But trying to run a football program, being a CEO of a football program, that's not his cup of tea. Some guys are better assistants than they are head coaches. No, I think it's too early to say whether this guy's going to be a good head coach or not. But are you hearing some of those things up there in Knoxville?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think you and I have discussed this in the past, that he's kind of that 1970s head football coach that didn't really have to worry about the media, but that was just constantly go football and could kind of do whatever he wanted, and things have just changed. I mean, you have to go out and speak to alumni. You have to do all the stuff with the television, the media, and he has gotten better about that this year. But he's kind of used to how things are. Everybody puts their sights on how Alabama does things. And I think it's frustrating for him to come into a place where he's trying to do that, but he doesn't have the guys to get it done. But certainly that kind of talk is going around, whether or not he can run a program being the head guy instead of being a coordinator. I mean, that's obviously the question right now, and it definitely is too early to tell for sure.
Yeah, I don't, Philip Fulmer hired him. He's got to back him. Has he said anything there publicly? What's Philip Fulmer?
No, he met with the coaches after the Georgia State game, I know, and I think they felt, they're put that game behind them and come out against a good BYU team, and they get this win and get UTC that can go down to Florida 2-1 and get things rolling. But it certainly, it puts Coach Fulmer in a tough situation because he's the one that hired him. So, obviously he's pulling for Coach Pruitt to get this thing done and get it turned around quickly, for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to be out there like coaching in practice, is he? Coach Fulmer's not going to go out there.
Well, I think that first season he kind of was, and that's not happening anymore. I'm sure he wants to.
Yeah, I'm sure he does too. Where does Tennessee? Where are they going to get their players from? Clemson's got it rolling. Georgia's got it rolling. Going to Memphis that's a long way from Knoxville. And I know they can recruit nationally. They went to California, got a big time linebacker. But where are they going to get their majority of their guys that are going to be able to compete at the top of the level of the SEC?
Well, surprisingly, they've gone into Georgia and gotten some really good guys. They got the number one quarterback coming. The recruiting is going well. They had a couple guys transfer from, in the portal, that whole deal from Michigan that were starters on defense, but they'll get the top players in the state of Tennessee, and then they'll go to Georgia. They'll try to get Florida because there's so much talent down there. And then, they'll go nationally as well, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build that brand, that power T, so they can go wherever they want. I mean, people can say what they want about Butch Jones, but he brought in players. I mean, he brought in football players. And it wasn't too long ago he had a 10-win season here. Sure. So, I like to say SEC fans are passionate, but they're not patient. Really more so than any conference in the country. They want excellence. And, I think Coach Saban has done great things for Alabama, and he has raised expectations for every other university in the conference as well, which makes it awfully tough on everybody else. Yeah,
I think he's good for the league, but I think he's bad for the other coaches because they always compare.
Because the fans are saying, why can't we bring in a coach and him do what Coach Saban did?
Yeah.
In his second year. I mean, you remember that first year wasn't the greatest for Alabama. We lost to Louisiana Monroe, but then the next year you could just see the process taking place, and people can't see that in game after game number 2 here in Knoxville. I mean, that's tough for them. And they had probably 110 former Vols at the game, and Al Wilson, I think, was there. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but those guys are just going crazy.
Yeah, I think Coach needs those former players just to kind of rally behind him and see. But it's a mess, and they're going to have to dig their way out of it. They should win this weekend, but man, whew, then they got Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Alabama, South Carolina. That's going to be tough.
It's tough. I mean, it's tough, Coach. I mean, if you're on that staff, I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, how do you get these guys going? You have to win Saturday. You absolutely have to win.
Yeah.
Think about that Georgia State game in 2010. Bill Curry started that program.
Right.
That's something. And then went back to Atlanta after leaving Alabama and, did a lot there, still does. I still talk to him. He speaks a lot. And then he started that program. And, man, they come into Neyland Stadium. I mean, winning week 1. And so it's going to be interesting next week to see how many people are there and see what they do and then go into SEC play.
Well, the good thing is that the SEC East, quite honestly, doesn't look that strong. What's your take on the conference? Seems to be, we're not breaking any news here, be top heavy. You got a lot of teams in the top 10, but the bottom seems to be pretty weak.
Yeah, and I thought it's weaker than I thought it would be this season. I mean, I thought Tennessee would be better than they are, and who knows? They may turn it around. I was thinking they might be 2-1 and actually go and give Florida a game, but I don't think that's happening. But gosh, you look at some of these other teams, and you're thinking, my goodness, Arkansas just looks awful, and Ole Miss doesn't look like a great football team, and they played well against them. Mississippi State's got issues, and then the East side, Georgia looks really good, obviously, but who knows? I mean, I think South Carolina, everybody else is a little bit average. The top guys are taking care of business, and the bottom half isn't looking so hot.
Yeah, everybody should have Alabama problems. Alabama fans think they have problems. We've had people calling in today talking about their line and the running game.
Gosh, are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that's amazing.
What would Tennessee to be a fan to do to be in Alabama shoes?
Oh, goodness. That's kind of funny. I got to be honest with you. That's kind of funny because this place is like, the sun still hadn't come up over here in Knoxville, and Alabama's talking about offensive line issues.
Yeah, is Smokey still in transfer portal? Did he leave yet?
Yeah, that's right. I officially saw him on the field Saturday.
He was there. Really?
He's still there. Yeah, he's there.
They talked him out of it. Well, Russell, tell everybody where they can find you. We, people here in Alabama, they like to keep track of what's going on in Tennessee. So tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter. What else you got going over there?
Yeah, we're the NBC affiliate here in Knoxville, WBIR, and you can find us, all over social media. But graduated from Alabama, worked for the Vol Network, and we're enjoying living in East Tennessee, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what, I love coming on with you guys.
Yeah.
Your pop's doing good. He's not on with you today.
Yeah, he's had a little issue come up with my mom. He's taking care of, but next time we have him on, he'll be on strong with. But tell Coach Barnes we said hello, and we may come up there and have dinner with him somewhere because I know he's eating free everywhere. He
and I talked about you guys last Sunday. So when you come up, we got you taken care of, and all my best to your family.
Appreciate it, Russell. Thank you.
All right, Barry. Talk soon.